Hello and welcome. Um, my name is Penny Meckley Porter, and I'm here with the Jefferson Educational Society today to talk about mindfulness. But today we have a specific topic that I'm going to share with you. As you know, generally I talk about mindfulness, but today it's specifically about the emotional freedom technique, which is also called tapping. And so I thought I would introduce you to this today. Perhaps some of you have practiced this before or seen it. And I gotta say, it looks kind of weird. I'll show you kind of what the steps are in a minute. It is supported by research, and so what we'll be doing today is tapping on acupressure points, right? So acupressure points, they're the same as acupuncture points, but we're just tapping on a small subset of those acupuncture points, right? And so we'll be tapping, there's a point here, there's a point at the base of the eyebrows. You can see where I'm tapping. There's a point at the end of the eyes. There's a point under the eyes. I'll tell you more about this before we get started. I'm just showing you the points. There's a point under the nose. There's a chin point that's like right under the lip. The collarbone, so here's my collarbones, and right below that there's an indentation. That's one of the points. Another point is under the arm. Some people prefer to go like this, under the arm. And then the last point is on the top of the head. There's apparently a couple different points up there, but so you can kind of bounce around up there. Okay. I have just introduced you to the points that we use with emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. But I'll talk about it a little bit before we get started. So tapping can be used on a lot of different things. In particular, it can be used on emotions. So it can be used on an emotion that I'm struggling with today. So like stress, today we're going to be tapping on stress. But we can also use tapping on an emotion that I might be struggling with from the past, like if I got bullied when I was in 5th grade. And when I think about that, I have like kind of a big reaction to it. So I can tap on emotions from the past or a story from the past or things that are happening today. It is backed by research, and so I did put in the description of this video a link to some research. I also wanted to put in, there's a comment section. So let me go ahead and put in a comment here, and this is to a chart. So there's a chart that I often use, whoops, that way, to introduce tapping. It looks kind of funny, but she's showing the different points of tapping, including the karate chop point, and then the points near the eye, nose, chin, karate, whatever that one we call, I can't remember right now, under the arm and top of the head. So she's showing all those different points, okay? So I'm going to put a link to this chart in. You don't have to memorize the chart. We're going to do the whole thing together. This is just for your reference. So I can do this. There's a link to the tapping chart. Hopefully that shows up as a link. Oh, there we go. So you can get the chart if you would like to. So there's the chart. I'll give you a chance to click on it and click in case you want to, but like I said, it's not necessary for right now. I just want to give it to you as a resource. So we will follow this chart pretty closely. There's kind of other ways to do it where you don't have to follow the chart quite as closely, but I want to follow the chart so that you have it as a resource when we're done today. And what we will do is always focus on a specific issue, something that's you're struggling with. This is set up to focus on stress today. So first, I'd like you to become aware in your life of an area of stress. An area that's been bothering you, maybe just today. Maybe it's felt stressful for a while. And I'd like you to pick a specific area. You might be struggling with stress because there's so much going on. But picking a specific part of that stress. I'd like you to do that now. So bringing your awareness to that stress. There's probably certain thoughts you have about that stress. There may be a feeling in your body you have about that stress, that stressor. And today we're going to focus on tapping on, and we're going to just call it this stress. Later we might get a little bit more specific than something as general as this stress, but that's where we're going to start today. So first thing is identify the issue. We're identifying this stress. Although in your mind it's a little more specific than that. There's a specific stressor you're identifying in your mind. Then I want to ask you to reflect on a scale from 0 to 10. How high is this stress with regard to this stressor? 0 being no stress at all. 10 being as bad as it could be. The stress that you feel about this stressor. So just picking one of those numbers, I don't know, it might be 6, could be 10, could be 8. Don't get too caught up in the number. We're just looking for kind of a general idea of how it feels to you today. So that's picking the number, the initial intensity, and then our setup. So we're going to say what they say on the chart. And what we're going to say, you don't have to say it yet, but anyway, is even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself. So that's what we're going to say. So basically, that setup statement, we call it a setup statement, it's made up of two things. One is acknowledging how I feel, like this stress, like I'm super stressed. Acknowledging how I feel and also accepting myself. That's the other point, because we say, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, if I today say I love and accept myself, that's what I normally use with my clients, but I want to stick with what we have on this chart so it's not confusing. But if I kind of jump to different phrasing, then please forgive me. There's many different ways to do tapping. And when you're introduced to it online by other people, they might use a different phrase. But we're going to stick with the chart. I deeply and completely accept myself. So isn't that an interesting thing to do? To pair a feeling that we're having, that we're struggling with acceptance of ourselves. That's part of what we're after here. Okay? So you've got your number in your mind, how you feel with regard to this stress. Then we're going to go ahead and tap, and you can repeat after me. So I'd like you to repeat aloud. Although if you are someplace where you don't want to repeat aloud, that's fine. You just repeat in your own mind what I say. It is okay to modify it. If I talk about this stress, you can talk about this, I don't know, if your biggest stressor right now, or the one that you chose, is this unemployment. Or if you want to be more specific, you can. Or you can just repeat exactly what I say. Okay? We're going to start on the karate chop point. Again, repeat after me. Even though I am so stressed about this, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I am so stressed about this, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then the third time. Even though I am so stressed about this, I deeply and completely accept myself. The eyebrow point. I am so stressed. The end of the eye. All of this stress. Under the eye. So much stress. Under the nose. All of this stress. The chin. All of this stress. Collarbone. This stress. under the arm, this stress in the top of the head. This stress, all of this stress. And then I'd like you to stop the tapping and take a big deep breath. Exhale. And then notice how you feel. Your stress level might have changed. It might not have, but it might have. Some people feel tingling. I never feel tingling. Some people feel tingling in their body. Just notice how you feel. So this time we tapped on this stress, okay? And you had an idea in your mind of what you were tapping on. I'd like to tap this time on, well, then you notice what your number is. See if your number is the same. It's possible it's the same. It's possible it's lower. And sometimes the number gets higher. Sometimes it gets worse. And what I believe about when it gets worse, it's because we're kind of acknowledging it and going into it, and that can make it worse. And so we're going to tap on it again, okay? So noticing your number again. This time I'd like you to think about the emotion that's associated with this stress. So you've got this situation that's kind of on your mind, probably on your heart too. You've got this situation. We've associated it with stress. I'm wondering, is there like another emotion that kind of resonates even more? It could be frustration or disappointment, anger, incredulousness. Maybe you know what the emotion is, but if you can find an emotion that fits even better, we're going to focus on that emotion. And I'd like you to give a try to see where you feel that emotion in your body. You may know where you feel it, you may not, but oftentimes we feel an emotion in our body. Well, no, we always feel an emotion in our body. We're not always aware of where it is. So now you're choosing an emotion that fits how you feel about this stressful event. You're noticing where you feel it in your body. And then we're going to tap on this emotion. And I'll just call it this emotion, and you can call it this anger, this frustration, this overwhelm, this annoyance. It could be self-blame. So I'm just going to say this emotion, but you tap on the words that are good for you. Okay? We're going to go through again. Before we do, notice this emotion, your emotion. See if you can give it a number between 0 and 10. 10 being the highest number, the worst that you could possibly feel with this emotion. Give it a number. Okay? Then we're going to tap on this emotion. Even though I feel this emotion so strongly, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel this emotion so deeply, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel this emotion so strongly, I deeply and completely accept myself. And when we go through all the tapping points, this emotion, you can use your words, end of the eye. This emotion, it's so strong. Under the eye. This emotion. Under the nose. I feel this emotion so strongly. chin, under the lip. This emotion, collarbone, all of this emotion under the arm, this emotion, top of the head, all of this emotion. And then you can stop tapping and take a big deep breath. Okay, then you check in with your emotion and that scale and see how it feels on that scale. You might have a bunch of questions, and this is not a two-way conversation here. It's an introduction, and I can give you more resources. If you do have questions, resources where you can go. One of the most frequent questions we get about tapping is, why do we have to be so negative? Because we do jump right into the negative. And the reason we go to the negative instead of just to the positive, because sometimes people want to just go to the positive, like, I don't feel stressed any longer. Like, okay, I've just released all the stress. I don't feel stressed any longer. They want to just jump to the positive. Well, what we do know about tapping is it works best when we acknowledge the negative, because there it is. It's in our brains, it's in our body, and part of all that negative emotion, it's activating the amygdala in the brain and other centers in the brain. And so as we tap, it seems to calm the amygdala, and it seems to allow us to release some of that negativity. And there can be a second part of the tapping that we go through where we actually say the words that we're releasing this, whatever emotion it is. It could be fear or any emotion. There can be another piece of the tapping where we go through and release it. We don't have time to do all of that today. But let's do one more tapping. I think we have a little bit more time. We're going to do tapping. So let's go back to the emotion and the stressor. Okay, we're going back to the emotion and the stressor. And what I'd like you to explore next that we're going to tap on associated with this emotion and this stressor is, what is your most frequent thought associated with it? It could be, he is just a jerk. If your issue is with somebody at work, he is just a jerk. I can't stand him. So maybe that's your thought. He's just a jerk. It could be some form of self-blame. I should be doing better. I shouldn't be so upset. I should or I shouldn't. So it could be some kind of a self-blame thing. It could be a blame of someone else. It could be something like, I just don't understand. Or why? Why is a big one. Why would they be doing that? Why would he be doing that? Why? So take a minute with yourself and just be noticing what comes up for you when you're thinking about this stressor. There could be a million thoughts. But we're really just identifying there's probably a thought that comes back all the time. It's your first go-to thought or one of the go-to thoughts when you think about this stressor. And so I'd like you to have that thought in your mind and feel the emotion of that thought in your body. So I'll just use my own example, like, why would he keep doing that? And to me, that comes with frustration, incredulousness, surprise. But why would he keep doing that? So that's going to be my thought. But I want you to stick with your thoughts. I don't want to be too confusing here. So we're going to get started, okay? We'll go like this. Tapping on the karate chop point. Even though I keep thinking, you say your thought, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I keep thinking, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I keep thinking, say your thought, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now I would like you to yourself be saying the thoughts that come to mind over and over and over again. You just talk through the thoughts. You talk through those thoughts at your own pace and then tap with me. You're just saying those thoughts. Yep, there might be 3 thoughts, there might be 5, there might be 1. Just keep repeating that thought and feeling the emotion in your body. End of the eye. Keep saying that thought, feeling that emotion. Under the eye. Keep going back to those thoughts, saying them. Under the nose. Still saying your thoughts. Chin, right below the lip. Still saying your thoughts. Collarbone. Still saying those thoughts. Under the arm, or both arms. Still, you're saying those thoughts. The top of the head. Still saying those thoughts. Then you stop tapping. Big deep breath. And then go back to the initial stressor that you initially were thinking about. And then you rate on that scale again how bad it still is. Hopefully you've had some relief. Gosh, there's a million other things I could tell you about tapping. But I'd like to just put in some resources here that could be helpful. We'll see if I can talk and put in resources. That's tricky for me. But one of the things I want to say about tapping is that it can be useful in so many different areas. And one of the ways it can be useful is it can help us discover what's below what's going on for us, like the additional emotions that are going on. So you might have started today with this stressor, but then you discovered another emotion that's behind it. And you know, excuse me, actually there could be another emotion that's behind that. And you know, who knew it started out here, but then you actually feel sad about something that's kind of related to it, or potentially even related to a time you felt this way in the past, that you also felt sad. So there really can be layers to how we feel, and the tapping can help us acknowledge how we feel and discover the other layers. So here's Tapping 101. I'll give you this link here. There's another link. I want to give you another one. The Basics of Tapping by Gary Craig. So these are 2 different groups of people who do a lot of tapping, a lot of education about tapping. And there might be one of these groups that you kind of resonate more with than the other. Always listen to what resonates with you. And then the research I already put in. So if one of these, if you go to one of those websites and it resonates with you, good, go for it. If you go to one of these websites and it doesn't resonate with you, you listen to yourself. That's important. You listen to yourself. Okay. So I wanted to do more today, but we're getting close to the end, so maybe we'll go over just a little bit. I'm going to do a mindfulness exercise about releasing stress. Okay, so I would like you to close your eyes. Notice your breath there in the chest cavity. Notice your rib cage expanding and contracting. And there you are sitting. I want you to allow the chair to hold you. So kind of relaxing into the chair. Relaxing your shoulders down onto your body. Relaxing your arms onto your lap, your forearms, I guess. Relaxing your hands wherever they're resting. And then coming back to the breath. With each out breath, I'm going to have you releasing some of the stress. With every exhale, you're releasing some of the stress that you feel. We clench our bodies, we hold on to stress. With each exhale, you're releasing that stress. With each exhale, you're allowing some of that stress to drain away. If you're an image person, maybe you're picturing, one of those above ground swimming pools with a hole in it. And the water is draining away. It's not going to explode. With each exhale, you're picturing the water draining away. Water representing the stress and the heaviness of the stress. Each exhale, you're allowing that stress to drain away from your body, allowing that tension to drain out. And coming back to your breath. And then we're going to end this meditation. Knowing that you can come back to this meditation anytime. I mean, physically, you could come back and, rewatch this video. But even if you don't rewatch this video, you can take time in the middle of your day, even if you're sure you don't have time. Research shows it's better to take time to take a break, and meditation is always a good break. Even when you don't feel like you have time, that can be the best time to come to a couple of these breaths where you start by noticing your breath and then you move through this releasing of the tension from your body. And you do that a couple times a day, even when you feel like you don't have the time. So wrapping up for today, I would like to thank you for being here today at 12 o'clock, or maybe it was 12:01 today, at the Jefferson Educational Society live on the Facebook feed. I will be back next week to talk to you again. And next week, I will be talking about stop, S-T-O-P, and take a pause. So the Jefferson will be emailing you about that. If you'd like to watch this video again, it's available on the Facebook page, on the Jefferson Educational Society website, and on the YouTube channel. Anyway, thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next week.